Hey guys, and welcome to Vanguard Tactics, and welcome to the competitive 40k show. I'm Stephen Box, and today I'm joined with Joe Coles.
Hello.
How you doing, Joe?
I'm good. I've got a cold face.
It's got a very cold face, yeah. I'm apparently the light side, and Joe's the dark side of this. If you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're hearing us back on the iTunes, then yeah, welcome to wherever you are listening from. As not only is this a video cast, but this will also be a podcast of our weekly show, and this happens every single Monday at 6 o'clock. So you can join us live, get your questions answered at the end of the show, or obviously just listen up and see what's happening. And we are in a huge sort of plethora of information at the moment, aren't we? With 9th edition on the horizon, Joe.
All the stuff is coming out thick and fast.
Thick and fast. So we're going to go through the chat at the end of this. And like I said, guys, welcome to the competitive show. We're all about here helping you stay positive about competitive play, helping you with your, any sort of sportsmanship issues, whatever it might be. That's what we're extremely passionate about, is improving the game of 40k, and also obviously everything else that happens off the tabletop. So yeah. So what are we talking about on today's show, Joe?
Points.
And why is talking about points a important process?
Just to kind of help you build your list, obviously. Kind of get your head in a rough idea of what your army's going to look like going into night.
Yeah, because I think it can be incredibly sort of frustrating, can't it? When you're, I think from your background, you're a bit more of a kind of like, you've kind of fall in love with models, don't you?
You can say the word.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. But you really get stuck into sort of units, armies, and that kind of stuff, right? You've got your clear favourites.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of favourites, but I'm less emotionally attached to those units as I would say you might be.
When I write a list, especially for my Drakari, like I go HQs and then Bosch, Drazar goes in.
Yeah.
Like, without a question of a doubt.
And then Incubi go in until they have to come back out. But,
they go in and then I'm like, oh, I'm a bit tight on the points.
What's the thing? Yeah. So again, it's one of those things that, let's say, how did you feel when Ravagers got a points increase?
Obviously, I was a little bit sad,
but
then it was entirely justified.
Yeah.
Because like intercessors obviously became really, really good.
Yeah.
But like disintegrators wreck intercessors.
Yeah.
So it was just they brought something really good into the game.
Yeah.
But then the dizzies killed them really easily.
Yeah.
So the points increase going up was like, yes, I understand.
Yeah. And I think it wouldn't be we're talking about points. At the end of the day, we play a game based on a rule set that's made by a company that manufacture models.
Yeah.
Okay, so Games Workshop, of course, they want to do business. Yeah. They want to sell models, and they want to be able to provide us a rule set that we love to play, and that we get a lot of enjoyment from it. So sometimes there can be negativity towards that, and you should never be negative towards business, because business allows for growth, and it allows for sustainability. And that's exactly what we want as from a hobbyist perspective, is that we want to be part of a game that's going to stick around for a long time. So please do remember that. There's not some like weird agenda that, Games Workshop have got, that they want to sell loads of this type of kit. That's really not it. No. So remember, guys, please bear that in mind when your favorite unit's points might get increased or decreased, whether that's negatively or... And the whole point of today's show is to really help you, I think, become more welcoming towards a points change. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Games Workshop have this one approach. They want to do business, okay? And in order to do that, they want to retain us as players, and they want to attract new players in. And in order to do that, we want to make sure, or Games Workshop are going to want to make sure that everyone is happy. Yeah. Now, in order for that to be the case, everything in the game needs play, because you get the likes of Joe's in the game that want his favourite Hellion models to do well, and you've got the other people like me that want everything to be good, right? So it means from a list building design, we can get really, really creative. Yeah. Games are really tactical. It comes up with some crazy list builds and combinations that, it's essentially become like, I feel like sometimes like a chemist. You're like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and now we've got something beautiful. So Games Workshop are definitely going to want to do that, is have this really well balanced game, so that it's not just a case of, well, this wins every time. We saw How fun was it at the peak of the Iron Hands meta? Let's be honest.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Like I did with my group of friends. We did like a Space Marine kind of like 1,000-point kind of challenge.
Yeah.
And I hit it hard. Like after about like 2-3 months, I had like 3,000 points.
You did.
And I made like a generic colour so I could use anyone. And then I saw Iron Hands really good. Yeah. I ran them, and I just started winning everything all the time, which was really, really good for me.
Yeah.
But it didn't show my skill level. No. Because like I was winning. I was like a 3-2 kind of player. To go immediately to like a 5-5, 4-1. Yeah. Doesn't show that I've increased as a person. Yeah. I'm just running a really powerful list.
And then how did you feel when you went to a tournament and played against somebody with an Iron Hands list?
It was the most frustrating thing I've ever done in my life. Because I left the Space Marines because I was like, I'm not enjoying this. It's not a fun game. Yeah. My opponents aren't having a fun game. Yeah. So I went back to my Drakari, came up against Iron Hands player, and I was like, this is not fun. No. So again, and obviously GW did a great job. They listened to the community and they made those changes. And you know, now Iron Hands will sit in a much more balanced place where, yeah, they're an option for those people that really want to run Iron Hands, but they're not the go-to from every single player. And I think that's really, really crucial. So guys in the chat, please let us know your thoughts. How did you feel when you were playing against an Iron Hands player? You know, I'm not going to lie, I ran Iron Hands for a little bit, didn't I? I won an RTT using them. But I had a very different sort of build to what we would see. But even myself, I didn't get the satisfaction from running it as I did with my Blood Angels, with my Harlequins, and now with my Emperor's Children. Yeah, it's because like the Leviathan, immediately overnight became the boogeyman. Yeah. Even people who played once a month were kind of talking about it and being like, I don't want to go up against that thing. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So GW not being afraid to change stuff and balance things. That's the prime example. Yeah. Like, this is out of hand. We're going to bring it back in. Because Games Workshop, you've got to imagine that there's only so many combinations. There's only so many hours in a day that they can actually test. Yeah. Okay. Same with the play testers. Now, it's not their full-time job. No. Not from what I'm aware of, anyway. But knowing a few of them, it's not their full-time job. So yes, they're not going to come up with all these crazy combos. But once you leave something in the competitive scene for maybe 3-4 months, these things are going to get found out. So points are now changing as we go into 9th edition. And why is that? So Games Workshop want faster, more efficient games. As that famous saying goes, a quick game's a good game. And I'm a firm believer of a quick game's a good game. While still remaining tactical, strategic and everything like that. So points are coming up ever so slightly, which we have been told about. Now, if we look at trends, what can we expect? Well, Games Workshop Warhammer World events were actually 1750, weren't they? 100%. All the events I did up until about, I don't know, 8 months ago were all 1750. And I think that we can probably expect a 10% increase on our points averagely. Yeah. Okay, and we're going to go over now what you can expect from your units in terms of as we go into 9th. Okay, so let's go over a few examples, right? So what's the first example, Joe? Where could this unit sit? Because at the moment in 8th, we've got really good units. Then you've probably got some units you'd never take because you think they're awful. But why is that? So let's go over it. What's the first option? The first option is units getting a buff in 9th. Units getting a buff in 9th. So this is a unit that, is it playable at the moment? So a pretty good for its points, would you say? So let's take Tank Commander. Tank Commander. Okay, so the Tank Commander at the moment, you give him pretty much the standard loadout on a Tank Commander is a Relic Battle Cannon, so he's got 3 damage, he sits at the backfield, and that's all you give him, right? So he's just got the Battle Cannon, you don't bother with the side sponsons. No, maybe a Punisher Cannon. But yeah, let's stick with the Battle Cannon for now. He's well pointed. Yeah. He obviously he's got some issues if he gets wrapped and trapped, but he's got such long range, he doesn't matter. He can move ½ inch and fire the top gun without any penalty. Yep. And he can actually fire that twice if he moves half. Now the side sponsons, if you move, you're at that -1. Okay, so let's take what we know about 9th edition, and that is vehicles can move and shoot without penalties when they're firing heavy weapons. So is that a buff for this unit? Yes, but only on
on the side guns, but not the main gun, because he already has that. Okay, so that's a slight buff, but not a full buff. Not compared to a Predator that is going to get all of its guns improved by that basically 18.3% increase on hits, because if you move, you obviously now don't suffer that modifier. So yes, the tank commander is getting some buff. So if we were to assume that everything's going to get a 10% increase on average, okay, I think the tank commander is roughly 200 points. Yeah. So let's say he's now going to cost 220, but he's also getting a buff. And that buff is that he gets the blast ability with his battle cannon. Yeah. So now he gets a minimum of 3 hits against 6 to 10 models. But the real big winner here is when he fights against Horde, which is 11 or more. So he gets flat 12 shots. That's a massive buff. He also now gets the buff for his side sponsons if you do want to take them. And also the other buff now, you can fire into combat.
Yes.
So he gets 3 buffs there. Yeah. So what we can
even if, and should you want to move quickly, he moves over half, he's not suffering that negative either.
I always think on his rule set, you still fire normally. If you move under half, you fire twice.
Okay.
I think so. There is some thing there in terms of movement, but there's 3 good quality buffs there. So probably what can we expect from this unit is probably a 20% increase on points. Yeah. So you can probably expect the tank commander to be about 240, and that's relatively fair in terms of the grand scheme of things, okay? So don't be shocked if you're like, oh, my tank commander's gone up by 40 points now.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's probably what's to be expected for the tank commander. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what you have to think is this unit justifiable for its new points cost in the whole plethora of the game? Yeah? You can't just look at it from your faction. All right, because let's take another unit. Give us another example.
Inceptors.
Inceptors. So, why are they important?
They're important now because they've got the fly keyword. They can leave combat and still shoot. They can deep strike in. They don't suffer any kind of negatives. No. Like they get a lot of free reign at the moment.
Yeah, just because they simply have the fly keyword. Yeah. You can fall back out of combat no matter how many models are around you, and then you can just fire at your full ballistic skill. Yeah. So that's changing in 9th. So in 9th edition, the fly keyword doesn't really matter too much. You'll more than likely be able to move out of combat freely, but what's now the change is that you cannot shoot. So this intercessor line, inceptor line, or screen you might have had, or scourges, or what are the... Wind Riders, for example, from Eldar.
The new sterilizers, Bradmec.
Yeah. So normally you'd be able to move back and just fire normally. Yeah. Okay. Now, are they able to shoot in combat? No, because that's vehicles. So they can't do that. They're an infantry model. So these guys are getting a heavy nerf. So at the moment, Inceptors, I would say, are actually slightly... Excuse me. I would say they're slightly overcosted in the current meta. In 8th edition... I would say they're still slightly overcosted. Although they're good, Inceptors are slightly overcosted. So let's say they were balanced and fair, and they were a good option to take. What can we expect going into 9th now they've got a nerf? What do you think, Joe, from your perspective, is fair and reasonable? Should they still go up 10%?
No. Maybe 5. Okay. Or stay the same.
Okay, so for Inceptors then, we can probably assume their points are going to stay the same or have a 5% increase. Now, we're using these units as an example, guys, okay? So insert flying infantry unit here, instead of we've just picked Inceptors for you to think about.
There's some armies that, if they're overpointed now and they're getting a nerf, it means that certain stratagems and abilities that some specific armies have then become, good, as it were. For instance, Inceptors, you take Imperial Fists. Their ability to make their guns pistols makes them good in comparison to Raven Guard. But then Raven Guard can fall back and shoot with them because they've got a stratagem, which means that you've got to become more thoughtful based on how you spend your CP in game now.
Yeah, and you are going to get more CPs, which again will maybe Inceptors will still just get a 10% increase because, as Joe said, there's maybe too many relics, stratagems, and abilities in certain books, which means that they should be more in points. For example, Ultramarines, they can still fall back and shoot at -1. Ultramarines now have just become incredible. Absolute, Inceptor Ultramarines are incredible compared to 8th edition Inceptor because you didn't really get your benefit at all in any way, shape, or form. So now they're getting a huge buff for Ultramarines. So again, what can we expect from a unit like that that's getting a nerf is a decrease in points, yeah?
Or the same.
Yeah. So let's take a look at, what's the next one? The next example.
Next one would be one that gets a buff and a debuff. Okay. So something like repulsors.
Repulsors. So in terms of their ability at the moment, obviously they're going to be able to fire into combat, and which is their buff.
Yeah.
But they're losing fallback and shoot.
Yeah.
Because they got the fly. And actually the fallback and shoot is still better than shoot in combat, because when you shoot in combat, you have to shoot what you're in combat with. Yeah. And you're at a -1 penalty.
Yeah. And if you don't kill them, they still get to punch you.
Absolutely. And also, the other thing about the repulsor is that it already has inbuilt power of the machine spirit. Yeah. So whereas everything else is going up in points, because the repulsor, Games Workshop would have thought, okay, power of the machine spirit would probably cost the repulsor, Storm Raven, and Land Raider. You're probably paying 5 to 10 points for that already, right? And depending on how many guns you've got that are heavy, you probably pay a percentage more. Yeah. So again, the repulsor may just have a slight increase of maybe 5% because it's getting a slight buff, but also it's getting a slight decrease. So it's in one hand you're given something, in one hand you're taken away. So maybe it's just going to get, rather than a 20% increase like we saw with the tank commanders potentially, maybe it will just go up that 10%.
Yeah. I think the same, like with Power of the Machine Spirit, you could also look at units that have something like Strafing Run, because those units have that inbuilt to negate the moving and shooting. So you could look at other units in your codex and be like, it's got this ability to negate it. Yeah. Like something like the Storm Raven. Yeah. Like that could potentially kind of, your points could stay the same or decrease based on that.
Yeah, so I think with something like the Repulsor, you can probably still expect a 10% increase. And it will, because there's a buff, there's also a slight nerf. So again, expect that sort of, what's he, like 300 points, so maybe bringing in...
He's more than 300.
Could be about 330, something like that. So again, just add on that and think, okay, yeah, actually that's fair and relative. And I think the best thing that you could, I'm going to give you some practical tips at the end of this. So what's next?
Units that are overcosted at the moment. So something like Land Raider.
Okay, the Land Raider. So when we look at the Land Raider at the moment, do we see many Land Raiders on the table? No, but they are getting a huge buff, which is obviously the ability to fire into combat, because that is their biggest weakness. They don't have the fly keyword, and that's probably one of the reasons we haven't seen them on the table. Okay, and they're going to be able to get obscured from terrain much easier because of the new rules of 5-inch buildings. So yeah, they're getting a huge benefit. But because they're currently overcosted for what they can do in 8th edition, again, rather than expecting a 10%, they are getting a buff, so they might just stay the same.
Which would be good.
Which would be great. Yeah. That might mean that we start seeing Land Raiders on the table, which would be fantastic. Because if repulsors are going up, and everything, like a Predator is getting all the buffs in the world. Yeah. Like he's going from 0 to hero in this next edition, the Predator, because he can move and shoot without penalty. And then if you've got another way of getting a +1 to your hit, so let's take a Defiler. Yeah. Let's take them. They hit on a 4+. Yeah. Normally, if they move, they're hitting on 5s. Pretty poor for what you're taking as a big gunboat. Yeah. But now with the way that monsters or vehicles are going to work in combat, and obviously can't share anything there of what they can and cannot do in combat, but we have been told that they are going to be able to, fight in combat a little bit differently on different levels, so they get a buff there. They're not going to suffer the penalties for moving. And also the battle cannon that's on top gets the blast keyword. They can fire their other weapons into combat and fight in combat, and then you can give them a +1 to hit from the Lord Discordant. So now these guys are hitting on 3s, maybe give them some rerolls. So the Defiler
can become a serious monster.
Yeah, I know. I want 3.
A contender.
Yeah, I want 3. Yeah. So again, and then we might see the Chaos Codex get redone in the future to then match how Space Marines are, because at the moment Defilers and vehicles and things like that for Chaos do not get the benefit of their Legion like Iron Hands Repulsors get, because it's just infantry, bikers and beasts. So again, we might see an initial points for Chaos Defiler because it's getting all these huge buffs, but then we might see another points increase when the Codex comes out, because there's going to be all these things that again bring them up another notch potentially. Who knows? But you can kind of see where I'm going with this. And again, like, at the moment, you've got to constantly think, okay, what about this unit? So you need to go through your list now and think, is this unit still going to be viable? Let's have a look at the Night Spinner.
he's a bit in trouble at the moment.
Yeah,
but
so
he gets a buff.
At the moment, the Night Spinner for me is an auto-include in an Eldar army. Yeah. 3, in fact. So what does that tell you about the Night Spinner in 8th edition? It's probably too strong. Yeah?
Yes.
It can reroll a hit, reroll a wound, it can fire indirectly, it does flat 2 damage, it's got a 48-inch range, you can fall back out of combat and not worry about it. The only negative it has is if it moves, it suffers a -1. Yeah. But apart from that, when we look at it in 9th edition, the only buff it's going to get is that it can move and fire without penalty. Yeah. But if it's in combat and tries to fly away, then obviously it's not going to be able to shoot unless you spend CPs on a stratagem. Yeah. And you can't fire in combat because the top weapons are going to be more than likely a blast weapon. So the only way the Night Spinner has any chance of shooting itself out of combat is by its...
Shuriken catapults.
2 Shuriken catapults.
Yeah. And if someone runs at you with orcs, it ain't doing much.
You might kill one. So the Night Spinner's in a bit of problem. So what are we going to see there with points? It's going to be really interesting to see what GW do. And I hope they're still playable. Or maybe that just means you need to screen much better and just ensure that they don't get in combat. Because they could potentially become the new what was Lehman Russ, where if it gets tagged, yeah, it can move out. But then it's like...
We see more... Maybe see more Guardians on the table as the screens, or you'll see things like Wraithblade becoming a more defensive unit kind of thing.
Yeah. So, you know, we're not exactly sure what's going to be blast and what's not, but these are just our predictions from what would make like an educated, or make sense from an educated guest perspective. So is there any others that we haven't considered yet?
I haven't got anything on my list.
So there are different options, right?
What about, I'll throw one out here, complete curveball.
Go on.
What about something like the Baneblade?
The Baneblade. Okay.
Off the cuff, because that's an expensive boy to put on the table.
So at the moment, the Baneblade, we've obviously seen some of the things that are going to happen with detachments. Yeah. So you could take 3 Baneblades and you're going to still get all your CPs back, which would be great.
But then they're not going to get any kind of troop support.
They're not going to get that, and they're also not really going to get any benefits apart from any of the blast weapon abilities. But Guard get a lot of workarounds on their reroll the hits anyway. Yeah. And also there's some stratagems that you can use which give you max hits, right? So Katachan get a free reroll. Yeah. So that negates some of the inability of what that tank might be able to do. It can move back out of combat, can't it, and still shoot. Yeah. So a lot of the rules already. So for me, something like
Baneblade.
A Baneblade probably won't change too much of its points.
No.
It might.
He's got everything already.
Yeah, so he's kind of already paying for all those buffs and abilities that he's probably going to get in 9th edition. Yeah. The problem with him is that it's going to be very hard to deploy on certain deployment maps with the new minimum board edge. Like there might be only some places you can physically even put him, but now you've got to remember that you can bring him in from reserve.
Yeah.
So that could be, so that is actually a buff to him, is that he can be kept in reserve and then brought on from a table edge.
That's a scary thought when you think, like, I've got to deal with this army that's on the table now. Yeah. But I've got to worry about that big boy coming in any minute.
And he's going to be firing full throttle when he comes out. Yeah. So actually we might see him, just from that simple fact alone that you can put him in reserve, we might just see him gut that flat 10%. Yeah?
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever see a drop pod ever again now?
Well, you can still come in turn 1. And actually, think about it now. If you know your opponent's going to basically try and null deploy you going second, where they're only going to deploy 50%, try and get cover from the rest, and put the other half of their army in deep strike, why not come down turn 1? Put the alpha on so hard that actually, like if you come down with 2 drop pods full of grav sense and you use the grav stratagem and you redeploy a unit forward, you could literally annihilate your opponent turn 1. Yeah. Problems right there. Big old. So again, this whole being able to put or coming from board edges is going to be a huge thing that we need to think about. Yeah. Magnus, let's take a look at him. We don't see him that often, and the problem with Magnus is that he's a real first turn character. He has to get his buffs off and his abilities off to actually do anything. And if you're ever playing against Magnus, you know you kill him turn 1 or you don't kill him at all.
And he has a lot of points.
He's a good amount of points. So now, if you know that it's basically, you know, you got the choice to put Magnus in deep strike. So when you come on, you can cast all your psychic powers, buff yourself up so you're pretty hard to kill, and your opponent then is going to really struggle to actually deal the damage they want to do to you.
And he can come on to the safety of his own deployment zone.
Yeah, which is where he wants to be. Like you can then like cast powers to move, double move other units forward and things. He can, do mortal wounds, buff other units up, or just keep himself durable. Yeah. And that's great for Magnus, and that's exactly what he wants to be doing. So again, units like this, which might not have had enough play in 8th, we might now start to see more on the tabletop, which will be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So anyway, what can you expect? Well, think about this. Expect everything averagely to go up to, that 10%. So if you've got a well-balanced army, some stuff getting a bit of a nerf, some stuff getting a bit of a buff, expect just an overall 10% increase, I would imagine. That's what I'm doing anyway. I'm writing current lists of 1,800 points. You're doing the same. The guys on our students on our academy are also writing those. We're also trying to fit them in either one battalion or one patrol.
Yeah,
or a super heavy detachment.
It's a real good way of like controlling yourself.
Yeah,
and kind of things. Because like when I came from 1750 to 2,000 points, I was always a case of like my army's gone from being this really cohesive, tight force to like I'm just going to throw some planes in, or I'll throw some random filler units in.
Yeah.
So we're actually bringing it down to a more tight force, and by having a battalion or a patrol, you tend to get in the units that you were having anyway, and all the fillers just drained out.
You need to think about what you need rather than what you want.
Yeah.
And that's a really important concept. And one of the things that we're going to be doing going forward is that when we release our battle reports now, we are going to create the channel called Vanguard Tactics Plus. Now, Vanguard Tactics Plus is going to be a little bit different to what we offer so far. Yeah. It's going to be more of what you see on YouTube, but more of it and more in depth. Okay, so we're going to tell you exactly why we're doing the certain things we're doing and how we're doing them. Okay, so when it comes to really analyzing a list, you've been writing why you and how you use your AdMech list. You spent all day writing how you do it.
So like when you watch a battle report or something, you normally just get your list. And
quick overview. Yeah.
I'll put it in because he's cool, or put it because he's buffs. Whereas I spent all day writing to death. Like it's been a real lesson for me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people could take this lesson away for themselves. When you write your army list, you go, cool, I put this guy in here. Why have I put him in here? Yeah. What does he do? What units does he affect? What stratagems can I then do to increase the benefits? And if it doesn't net out to more than buffing a 5-man squad, then it's a waste.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So that's what we're going to teach you on Vanguard Tactics Plus, the why we do and how we play personally. Okay, so we're going to do our battle reports, but with our battle reports as well, we're going to show you the other side of the coin. So we're going to show you for free on YouTube one way of the battle report. So we're going to be using the new 9th edition missions, and we've just done a test for Engine Warp. So it's a current AdMech, which will hopefully come out next week, this battle report. It's our template, so let us know if you like it. But what we're going to do is basically run the first half, which will be, let's say, me going first against Joe. And then on Vanguard Tactics Plus, you're going to see what happens when we alternate who goes first. So we can show you all the offensive and defensive. And there's nobody else in the community that does this for their battle reports.
Yeah, because normally when you see like a trailer, like a intro video to a new codex, a new book, a new supplement, whatever.
Yeah.
It tends like one army goes first, and it might absolutely nuke the other army, and you don't see what that army can do.
Yeah.
And you only see how it attacks, not how it defends.
Yeah.
So you could go out, buy that army, and then be like, oh, my opponent's come first.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to deal with it.
Yeah.
So
we're going to show you both ways, which I think will be really good. We're going to show you the lists, but in more detail. We're also going to show you how we deploy in more detail. Yeah. So think of like the videos, the battle reports is your entertainment, and then a bit more insights on Vanguard Tactics Plus, along with that second battle report. You also get our lists on there, and also some cool artwork that you can use as screensavers. We're really going above and beyond what we can do here in the studio with the incredible terrain that we've got from foreground and everything else. So Vanguard Tactics Plus will be coming very, very soon, hopefully for the launch of 9th edition. But anyway, get back to our main point. So if you've got a well-balanced army, just expect that 10% increase, like we said. Start building lists for 1750, 1800, something like that. If your build at the moment is very strong going into 9th, if you're sat there thinking, okay, I'm going to be getting a lot of buffs here. So let's say you were taking a full Dreadnought and Predator army. expect more than a 10% increase.
Maybe
a 20% increase.
What you could do is go through your codex now with a bunch of post-it notes with like a 1, a 5, and a 10 kind of thing, or even like a 20. You could look at this and go like, is he getting a buff? Is he getting a decrease? Is he going to stay the same?
Yeah.
And you could just post-it note, label, like this year's probably going up, I'll prepare for that, this one's going down, whatever.
So if you've got a heavily built list around things that are going to get buffed, then expect a 20%. So start building lists for maybe 1,600 points, okay? And this, I think, is where some of the confusion has come from. Online, some people have been saying 10%, some people have been saying 20%. So we're giving you a bit more, I think, general perspective of what you can probably expect. Now, I am not privy to any, I haven't got the rule book, I haven't seen the points, so I'm going off an educated guess if I was a rules designer. That is simply what I'm going off, is educated guesses. We've done that throughout this whole time. So again, let's have a look at another scenario. If your list at the moment is going to be, for example, getting a lot worse. So let's take my Night Spinner list. So actually, maybe I expect a 5% increase, not a 20% increase. Yeah. So just think about that. And I think Joe's made some really valid points there. Go through your list. Yeah. And then once you've gone through your list, then go through your book, your codex, and think, this unit, Hellions, what's happening with Hellions? Are they going up? Are they going down? Hellions normally taking 20-man units or 15.
If you ever see them. I think if you see them, they're max numbers and they're in the detachment that gives you, only one ever runs away from combat. Yeah, so they just fall apart.
So morale's going to be a big issue for lots of models in a unit. Yeah. The other thing that's going to be an issue is blast weapons. Yeah. Okay. And they've got 2 wounds, right?
One
wound. Okay, wow. So Hellions, they're losing their fly keyword to move back and shoot. Yeah. Right.
They do have access to a stratagem that allows them to do that, but they're in an army where everyone wants to do that.
Yeah. So again, Hellions that weren't being used, are they going to be in use for Night? Well, we might see some new rules that make them really, really playable. Yeah. But again, just have a look and go through them, what you think is going to change, okay? So anyway, last remaining thoughts. Just do that. Do the post-it note thing. I think that's a really good idea. That Joe said, expect a rough 10% increase. Start building lists for 1 detachment and also 1,800 points.
Maybe
question yourself why everything is in your list.
Yeah. Maybe look at units in your list now and the last couple games that you've played and gone, do I do anything with these units? Yeah. Are they doing anything for me? Yeah. Because you can take those out and be like, well, actually, I'm left with quite a decent list anyway still.
And, don't be afraid to invest in some new models, you can already, I think a lot of people said, oh, wait for Night. No, start getting models ready, get them painted, get them going, and with educated guesses, you can actually start to, do quite well, I think, and start to build your army ready for when Ninth drops, okay? So we're going to go through the chat. So if you've been listening onto the podcast, then thank you very much. What all we're going to do now is jump over to the live chat, where we're going to start picking out some top questions. So please remember, if you are going to leave us now at the podcast, please remember to give us a subscribe to the podcast, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, whatever it might be. And also, if you wouldn't mind, leave us a review. It really helps us grow. Share it with your friends. But if you want to carry on and listen to what some of the guys in the chat have said, then please do keep listening. And if you would ever like a question answered, then what we're going to do is on our Instagram, we'll start doing this as of next week. We'll get the questions out on a Friday. We'll ask you on Instagram. You can send us your questions through that. And then we'll obviously go over your questions in the chat on a Monday at 6. Okay, so, and then the podcast will go out every single Wednesday. Okay? Yeah. So that'll be what happens. So let's have a quick run through Look Out Sir podcast. Who are they? Who are they? Who's that Look Out Sir podcast all about?
Heroes of the hobby.
Yeah, okay.
Every single one of us should be on the 40k Hall of Fame.
Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I'll suggest that. Look Out Sir 40k said the thumbnail alone gets a thumbs up. Never seen Joe look so smouldering. What a hunk. Yeah.
You're an artist with that camera.
I've done wonders.
It's incredible what a dark room and dark clothes does to the looks of a man.
And great lighting. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the forced beard shave helped. I did look homeless at best.
So Brian said 5 battle rounds in standard games, sweet 2-hour competitive games. Here we come. Yeah, I like. Number one, I'm really happy that it's not variable game length anymore. That GW have just gone with a flat 5. I love that. Quick games,
and you can prepare better mentally how each turn is going to go.
Yeah. Dom has said, would ending a turn sooner slightly nerf Assault Doctor in Space Marines, which have been waiting for turn 3 buffs? They're still going to get it for turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. I think that's enough. Normally, with my Blood Angels, the game was done by turn 5. So
if you're Black Templars, right, you can do it from turn 1 on a unit.
Nice.
Stratagem, just pick a unit, go straight into the combat doctrine.
Yeah. Kylo said, but no chaining units now. So, what has been announced literally today, and I've already, or myself and Joe, have already made a video on how unit coherency works.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying no strings are, no strings attached.
Yeah.
But, apparently now you can't string out your units to buff them out. I'm going to prove you wrong in this video, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that. Yeah. Okay, you can still string them all out. I show you lots of different movement patterns. I show you lots of different examples. I spent ages on the table, thinking about it, how I would run it. So that video is going to be coming online as soon as we've got off here. I've edited it, and it should be on by tonight, how it's all going to work. So stay tuned for that. And again, share it with your network. It really help them out if they're worried. And we're doing this new series all about 9th edition rules and how they actually, the interpretation of how they're going to work on the tabletop.
Yeah, so it's like, because a lot of people read the rules and then their minds get blown and they're like, the sky is falling, like GW have broken the game. We break it down for you and be like, actually, it's not. It's actually quite simple. It's very subtle, and the game still kind of plays very similar. You just got to put your models in a slightly different order.
That's it. So we show you exactly how to do that. We show you how to wrap and trap. We show you how to grab objectives, and we also show you how to use terrain and maneuver around that. Even buildings that are over 5 inches tall, we also show you how to get buffs in, grab objectives. So loads of stuff to that. So Cool Guy Pro has said, what armies do you guys play? What's your main army, Joe?
Drakari.
And what's your second main army?
Admech.
Yeah, I'll go with that now, yeah.
Although I have got a new one on the way.
You got a new one on the way?
I actually got 2 new ones on the way.
Yeah.
Very, very excited.
I know, because I'm such a nice person.
Well, yeah.
Just getting all these new armies.
Yeah, I'm very excited for my new Custodians army. And Nids, once they actually come back into stock, because everyone in the world's bought them apparently. Yeah. My main armies are Harlequins. When you paint them.
When I can paint them. Quite a task that is. Blood Angels.
When you finish painting them.
Hey, they're done. They just need some, I need to spruce them up a little bit. Give them a little bit of TLC. And what was my other main army? Probably Ultramarines?
Ultramarines, yeah. I hate the Ultramarines.
Yeah.
Like, if you thought Tau shield drones were annoying.
Yeah. Play my aggressors.
Stand in front of 18 aggressors.
You're going to love it. Love it, guys. And now, it's not only going to be that, but Inceptors are getting in the mix as well. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
Aggressors are one of those units in... Ultramarine aggressors in 9th are going to be scary. You're like, I only get 1 unit to Overwatch. An Ultramarine player laughs, like that Tom Cruise meme.
Yeah.
And it's actually, my 3 units still get to Overwatch you with 4 rerolls. It's not going to be enjoyable.
So, what have we got here? Stephen Carpenter said they stopped being daily, but I turned up late. Sorry, guys. Well, actually, this is our biggest ever amount of people watching live. We had up to 99 people at one point watching live. So yes, we are doing this weekly. It used to be daily, but again, we're pushing a lot more 9th content now, more specific to help you guys. So yeah, it's going to be that. Martin has said, hey guys, lighting looks awesome on the studio today. Thank you very much.
Maybe we should do a lesson.
Yeah,
on how to do sexy lighting.
Could do that, yeah.
Yeah,
could do that.
Like when we're doing these cool sexy promo pictures for our battle reports.
They were good.
They're real good. Yeah. But I got real sore arms.
You did.
Because I basically stand there with a light in this hand and a light in this hand.
Don't give all the secrets away.
And it's just like...
you were like one of those people that work bringing in planes.
Yeah.
With the, come this way, that way, bit of light action.
And then I'm like holding it, my arms are going really like sore. And then after about 5-10 minutes, I realised Knight's taking a picture. He's just messing around with the dials on the camera.
Just loving it. Just loving life. So Thomas has said, is there any point in taking troops that can deep strike? Now all units can come in as tactical reserves.
Right. It might be cheaper. Like Death Watch, it's cheaper to use their stratagem.
Yeah. So remember, guys, that you're not necessarily needing to play the amount of CPs.
Yeah.
Second of all, you can come anywhere rather than within a board edge. So it's more easier, terrible English, Stephen, but it's easier to screen out the board edges than it is a deployment where you can come down anywhere.
Yeah, and you got to think, like, if you're running an army that's real thirsty on CP, you don't want to be wasting it on putting units in deployment when you've got access to units that can already deep strike. Like your Blood Angels, for instance, they are a real thirsty army on CP. If you had to pay CP to put Sanguinary Guard in deployment, it just wouldn't work.
I mean, I don't really. Just run them up the table. Just run them. Just take the hits on the way. Yeah. You know, because when you've got shredded abs like the Sanguinary Guard, you can take shots for days.
Cute eye roll. But it's real, like, when you play against a Blood Angels player and they're like, I've got some Death Company, I've got some Sanguinary Guard, I'm going to put them in Deep Strike, I'm going to use my Angel Wing Smash Captain, I'm going to use the redeploys, you're going to do that 3d6 charge, and then Steve's just like, on the table.
Just like, come at me, bro.
Yeah, I don't care if you've got 3 triple battle cannon.
Do you even shoot guns? Is my, normally the first question I ask.
There was a podcast we did, and you're like, how many charges have I ever failed, Joe? Yeah. And I was like, I don't know, 1 or 2. You're like, I don't fail them.
Just don't fail charges. Yeah. When you're making charges that are 2 inches away, you don't fail them. And that's just, and this is the other thing. So I'm going to tell you a little secret now, guys, that the video that came out yesterday about
average dice rolls.
I was doing a demonstration that with 18 models, you can do, with cut them down stratagem, with 18 models, you can do 3 mortal wounds, okay? To a knight. If you only had 3 wounds remaining, you play that stratagem, kill the knight, okay? And I was telling my girlfriend Amy about this. I was like, what do you expect? She worked it out. Obviously, she doesn't play Warhammer. I gave her the dice out. I said, can you do it? She did it every single time for like 10 times. She was like, oh, it's quite addictive, this. I said, okay, right. Watch this video. So we had to do 7 takes of me rolling 18 dice just to get more than 1 6.
You're cursed.
Time. I am cursed.
It shows how. Well, I'm not going to blow your trumpet here, but it shows how good of a good player you are for someone whose dice rolling is
shocking.
Awful. Yeah, awful. I could have sworn there because of how bad it is,
but
it's real bad.
Bad dice rolls have actually made me a better player because I can't go, oh, I need a 9-inch. I'm not like Jonesy who goes 12-inch charge, no problem. Here's a 20.
Yeah, you could look at 40k like Blood Bowl. The best Blood Bowl players out there roll the least amount of dice. Yeah. Like, only go for guaranteed stuff. Yeah. And if you are going to get cursed, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Exactly. You just
do it.
You just got to play the cards you're dealt. Same with genetics. You just play the hand you're dealt.
Yeah. Some people like Steve, they work really hard and they go to the gym a lot. Some people like me, who like to eat cake.
Yeah, but you are the specimen that you am. You've got the genetics that I wish I had.
Really?
Yeah, if I could, you don't have to do anything. You look like a Greek god, apparently. I've got to work hard for it.
Yeah, like...
You just have it all, Joe. You're like that guy in school that everyone hated. He could do whatever he wanted.
You say that, but when we went to the gym, right, like we'd been there for like an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. You left looking exactly the same as how you walked in. Yeah. And you're like, that was a brilliant workout. Yeah. I left... like I just walked through the showers, like just walked through the women's showers, the men's showers. Then someone dropped a bucket on me. Yeah. And I was like, "There's something wrong here. Why am I not glistening?"
You're clearly that hot.
Yeah.
You're that hot, Joe.
I just run at a high temperature.
You're just that hot. You're a warm-blooded male. Alpha male, Joe. That's what you are.
I don't like it when you're nice to me. It confuses me. He said around the other day, "He's like, I'm gonna be nice to you from now on, Joe. I'm not gonna be this cruel, abusive person anymore."
Don't know what you're talking about, Joe.
And I was like, "Don't," because it would confuse me. Like if he came in the morning, "Hi, Joe. Here's an apple. Like, have a chocolate bar. You're such a nice person, Joe." I would immediately leave the building. Yeah. And I'd leave the food behind in case you poisoned it.
So anyway, we've gone back to normal Yeah, because Joe can't handle, me when I'm nice. So, anyway, Stephen said here, can tell Joe is doing the lighting. Give it another month and he will be beating Stephen in arm wrestle. Not 40k though. Apparently your guns are looking good from that angle, Joe.
I hope so. It is the lighting, isn't it?
It is the lighting. You set it up well with the guns.
And the picture, when we first did the picture, I had my hands like that, kind of thing, like a loose thing. And it was like, no, if you put your fists underneath.
Yeah.
Like,
really push the biceps forward.
Push the moobs down.
Biceps up. Yeah. Boobs down, biceps up. It's a classic, posing technique.
If you spoke to Terry Crews, he'd be like, moobs down, steps up.
Exactly, yeah. But, that guy's got pecs on top of pecs and you just have them bouncing everywhere. Absolute hero. Anyway, guys, we're getting way off topic. So if you enjoyed this one, then please remember to give us a subscribe.
Have we got any more questions?
No, I don't think so. I'll have a quick look. Smash that like button. Jared said, completely agree. Joe does not the gym needs Joe. Joe does not the gym needs Joe. Maybe.
Who's that? Who said that?
Kylo.
Of course, he's my hero.
Yeah.
Also, Kylo, when you do your Tyrannus lists, no more Kronos.
No more Kronos.
Kraken. You need to do Kraken on your list.
Kraken for you, Kylo. Yeah. So Kylo is on our academy, and every single week on a Thursday we go live and discuss. We go over everyone's list that are of all the students. So we've been looking at
and
we've been looking at his Salamanders list for weeks. And
we normally get one list a week from most average people. It's like 2 lists a day with Kylo. Yeah, he's a beautiful, lovely man. He's just
so many lists.
Just lists.
Yeah, it's just list mad, that guy. Anyway, we're gonna love you and leave you, and we'll see you next Monday at 6 o'clock over on YouTube. Remember to check out our YouTube channel if you're listening to us live, and hit that subscribe bell icon, all that stuff. Leave us a review on iTunes, all those good things, and we'll see you on another episode of the Competitive 40k podcast. Take care.
Bye bye now.